For the past 10 years, I've made a holiday print, each using either woodcut or linocut techniques. Each print reflects where I was creatively at the time, from the inspiration behind it to the materials I was working with. In this video, I'll walk through each print and share a bit of that context. It's a quiet look back at a decade of making. Now let's get started. Alright, well let's jump right into the video. This was the first design that I made back in 2014, and it's of the Brooklyn Bridge, and I was inspired by the architecture. And so this is just a watercolor and pencil painting on a piece of paper. And this is where the journey all begins. So I transferred this image onto a piece of linoleum, and we made our first reductive linocut print back in 2014. I was using Akua inks, watercolor paper. And if you flip the print over, I actually made a separate block to title it and sign it. And you can see the date here. Looking back on this design now, I can see the registration. I didn't have the registration quite figured out. And this is a simple 1, 2, 3 color design. But I really like this design, and I would actually like to make a newer version of it. But altogether, this was a fun print to start off my printmaking journey. All right, moving to print number 2 in 2015. This is titled 3 Trees. This is a reductive linocut using Akua inks again on a cotton paper, printmaking paper. And you can notice the oil from the Akua inks. It's like a soy-based oil, and it really just bleeds into the paper, and that's how the ink dries. And this print was inspired by the 3 Trees print by Rembrandt. This is a simple design from my imagination. This image of the 3 trees, there's a tall one, medium one, and a small one. At the time, my wife and I were hoping to start a family, and that year we did. So looking back on this print quietly holds that moment for me. Print number 3, this is 2016, titled Snow Trees. Still using the Akua inks and printing on a watercolor paper. I'm really starting to think about Mokuhanga here with this one. At this point in time, I'm studying Mokuhanga. I'm watching Dave Bull videos online. I added the gradation in the sky, and I'm starting to understand, looking at Hasui probably and some other woodblock print designs. And this is a really nice one here that I just put in a mat. But I'm starting to consider gradations, distance, and I think I have a better understanding of registration by this point. This design really opened up the opportunity to get more complex with my designs, and I could see that my confidence is building as a printmaker. Print number 4, 2017, Prospect Park Sledding, another reductive linocut. This is a fun illustrative design where I warm up the color palette and include some figures into the landscape. The carving in the tree limbs start to get very detailed, and I'm beginning to show how much control I have with this medium. Up to this point, I've been printing all of these with the back of a metal spoon or a wooden spoon, so I haven't used any printing press or any barons at this point in time. But this is a fun design. These are still available on my website if you're interested. Print number 5, 2018, a Hasui reproduction titled Moored Boat in the Snow. This was my transition year. This is where I started to make some prints for Jed Henry, and I have fully transitioned to Mokuhanga or Japanese woodblock printing at this point. This was my first woodblock reproduction, and I learned a lot from this process. I love the simple shapes and the organization of the space in these with the gradations in the sky and the water. And I love this little warm light that's in the distance. Just one little light in the distance here. And the subtle gradation in the corner. He's really a master of composition. All right, print number 6. This is 2019. Cats Falling with Snow. This print came from a larger print that I made for Jed Henry, which was originally drawn by Nicolas Nemiri. Link in the description below. I pulled one of the cats from the original design and added some snowflakes in the background with a nice gradation. I didn't quite like these snowflakes on this version. I wanted to enlarge some of them. So I did that and I made a second version, which ended up being the final version. This has been a very popular print. Moving on to print 7. This is 2020, titled Shelter. The original drawing was by Albert Kiefer. I asked his permission if I could use his sketch, and I took his sketch and I designed this little space around it. I added the snowflakes, and I added a nice little warm light in the upper window, similar to the Hasui designs. I really enjoy this one. The simplicity of this tiny little old house, the broken little window fragments, all the energy from Albert's original drawing still in there. Print number 8, 2021, titled Snowbike. Another Mokuhanga print. This year I continued with the snow theme, and I worked monochromatically with this warm kind of purple color. I used a photograph of my own for this one. I was walking to the theater one night and I noticed this bike. It was snowing out pretty heavy, and I really enjoyed this bike covered in snow, the fenders and the basket. I like the simplicity of this one and the central composition. Print number 9, 2022, Snow Village, another Hasui reproduction. I had so much fun with the first Hasui, I had to make a second. This time we have a village scene with a single figure walking away in the distance with an umbrella. There's a few warm lights in the windows as night is falling upon us, or maybe it's early in the morning, I'm not too sure. Either way, Hasui's a master of composition, and I learned so much from making these reproductions. And it's bonus time! These two prints, which are in the same theme, snow scenes, Hasui reproductions, but these were both cut for Dave Bull and for Mokuhankan. So these are both available on his website. The link is in the description below. But Dave sent me some blocks and I cut these two designs for him. And again, it's just a really fun process to go through tracing these little postcard designs. There's so much information, and he's really good at designing these spaces with maybe 5 or 6 colors. With all these little warm lights in the houses. And this is just a really quiet, still boat scene. The reflection in the water, little limbs with snow on them. A nice little boat in the distance. So these are just 2 bonus prints that I'm including into this video. Number 10, this is 2023, titled Snowy Traps. This is Mokuhanga, and this print brings all of my learning and training into an original Shinhanga style print of my own. So I cut the blocks, and I printed this with a few different color variations. You can see the images on my website. But here's a couple little proofs of some color schemes that I was interested in. But this shows my level of understanding of Mokuhanga design, and it shows my skill as a carver and printer. This area is known as the Gunks. It's where I rock climb, and I'm really inspired by the rock features and the trees. This was a fun project for me. We actually have more than 10 prints. This is print number 11, 2024, The Adoration of the Kings, a reproduction by Albrecht Dürer. And this was a fun block to carve, and it shows my interest in fusing Eastern and Western printmaking techniques together. So I carved these blocks with traditional Mokuhanga tools and knives in cherry wood, and I printed 2 variations. First one is using Western printmaking ink or oil-based ink, and this one was printed using the traditional Mokuhanga or Sumi ink, which is water-based. They're both printed on kitakata paper, which is made in Japan, and this was a fun little fusion project that I turned into a YouTube video. This was the original scale of the original design, so I had to enlarge it by almost 3 times to get it up to this level. But could you imagine carving something this small back in 1505? And this print is number 12 and 13. This is the print that I did for this year, but I'm not going to get too much into these two. I'm releasing a video on how these were made, probably coming out in a few days. Be sure to look out for that. I want to thank you for joining me in this video, and hopefully that was fun for you to see the last 10 or 11 years maybe of printmaking history. I appreciate everyone's support, either by collecting my prints, by watching my YouTube videos, or joining me on Instagram. I hope everyone has a good holiday season, and we'll see you in the next video.